Is the Baltics and the scenic fjords of Norway on your bucket list for that next great cruise vacation? Stay tuned as we do a review of Azamara Intensive Norway. My special guest today is Roy Suthons, an independent travel advisor with Cruise Holidays of Lawrence Park of Ontario. A frequent guest on RTE Travel Talk for his extensive travel knowledge, Roy makes his home in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Hi, Roy. Welcome back to RTE Travel Talk.
Hello, Ken. Thank you for having me back. It's always
It's
good to
great
be
to
here.
have you with us again, Roy. So I've heard that you're just fresh off a ship from Norway, actually a Norway intensive cruise around Norway, the Baltics, and with those, they are getting to be extremely, extremely popular. So I was kind of hoping we could spend a little time today. You can tell us a little bit about what ship you sailed on and give us a review of the cruise.
Absolutely, my
Perfect,
pleasure.
perfect. So who did you sail with, Roy?
We were with Azamara Cruises, and this was actually our first time with Azamara, so it was a great experience for us, and we were on the Pursuit.
Awesome, awesome. Now they've recently changed hands in probably the last year or so. Um, since this was your first time, you probably wouldn't notice any difference. But how was the service?
Oh, the service was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Dining room was impeccable. Crew were fabulous. It was a really, really wonderful
Okay,
experience.
okay. And the ship itself, how was it, Roy?
Oh, the ship was great, and you wonder about the public areas, or a lot of people wonder about the public areas. And one of the things that I noticed with Azamara is they want it to just sort of be home-like. So there's the living room, there's the drawing room, and so it's just sort of a nice, elegant place to relax and enjoy, and have a good
Oh,
time.
tremendous, tremendous. And the staterooms, what type of stateroom did you have, Roy?
Well, because I was hosting the group, I was in an
Okay,
ocean. Sounded a little small, but it's certainly not a problem at all. Shower's a little tight, especially if you're a big
right.
guy like me. But that seemed to be the universal comment around the ship for anybody in a veranda room or lower. It's a very, very tight shower, but it's not a reason to
Right.
not go.
And that kind of goes without saying because the Pursuit and the Journey, they're older ships, I believe, of the R class. So one probably shouldn't expect what you would find on some of the newer ships that they're sailing today.
Exactly, and the Pursuit is the newest of all of the eight ships, and of course, as you know, four of them are with Azamara and four are with
Yep.
Oceania. The Pursuit's about 20 years old, but still looks fresh and clean and new, and is great. I did get in to take a look at a veranda room, and I got a look at one of the lead-in suites, and they're quite
Right.
comfortable.
Okay. How many were on board?
We actually only had about 500. Now the ship can handle almost 700 double occupancy, so we weren't completely sold out. And that really just made something good even better because with all the crew much more attentive.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure. The crew to passenger ratio would be tremendous.
Oh, it was marvelous, absolutely
Yeah.
marvelous.
So this particular cruise itinerary had the ship retracing its route from the highest point in the Arctic and back. Did you have many days at sea?
We had four
Yeah.
sea days. We started with a sea day when we left Southampton, and then a couple more in between, and then one on our way into
Right
Copenhagen.
on. So I gather being that far north, there wasn't a lot of sunbathing.
Well, I'm gonna set that record straight. In one of the particular ports we went to, Olden Tender Port, and where the tenders docked, there was a cable car up the
Right.
mountain. Were we ever glad we left our jackets on the ship because we got up there, and yes, there was sunbathing happening up there. It was a very, very warm sun. When we got far north, yeah, there was one day that I had a shirt, a sweater, and my windbreaker done up. But generally, yeah, the weather was not bad. We had typical weather, but
Yeah.
surprisingly warm.
Refresh my memory. What time of year was it exactly?
We sailed on the 24th of June and wrapped up on the 10th of July.
Okay, okay. So on those sea days, did you find that there was a lot to do on board the ship?
Well, I'm a kind of a social animal, and I'm happy to just find somewhere to perch and sit and meet new people, and that worked well for me. But yeah, there's, as with any ship, they're geared for sea days, and and there's always lots of things to do on board on a sea
Okay,
day.
so you're not going to be bored.
Not unless you want to.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about the itinerary. Just exactly how long was it and where did we embark from?
So it was a 16-night
Hmm.
cruise. We started in Southampton and we finished in Copenhagen. But of the 16 nights, we had 11 port stops in Norway. That's the Norway
Right.
intensive part. We also had two scenic cruising events that were really well worth
So
it.
tell us a little bit about the scenic cruising events.
Well, the first one and kind of my favorite, I think, was Troll Fjord. Troll Fjord was absolutely magnificent. Not a whole lot of room on either side of the ship as they thread the needle into the fjord. The scenery magnificent, gorgeous waterfall. And the captain, they like to show off a little bit. So when he had to turn the ship around inside, he didn't do a 360. He did a 720 just to show that he could. But one of the things that speaks
Right.
to is the importance, if you can, go on a small ship, because no larger ship than the one that we were on would have made it into that fjord. And the other scenic cruising was North Cape, and that was foggy. So it was an interesting day at North Cape because it gave me some great mood settings for pictures because the fog came in and
Right.
came out. Of course, North Cape is the northernmost part of
Yeah.
Europe.
So that's a really good point about the size of the ship because some of these larger ships that they actually still do that Norway and the Baltics, but they may not have access to some of these beautiful scenic fjords just because they can't get turned around.
Absolutely. And or they just can't get in the first place. And another interesting thing happened. The forecast was for 7-meter swells out in the open
Right.
sea. Because of the size of the ship, the captain was able to get clearance for an inside passage route. And we turned out we were the biggest cruise ship that's ever gone through there, but we had nice calm seas and beautiful scenery sailing this unscheduled inside passage up to Koningsvag.
Oh, great, great. So I have to ask, did you experience the midnight sun or is it the wrong time of
Oh,
year?
lots and lots and lots of midnight sun. And it's not the first time that I've experienced it. We were in Antarctica about 11 years ago, 12 years ago. We were north of the Arctic Circle longer, so we truly did have the midnight sun. And, it messed with my system because I'd wake up in the middle of the night, I'd look outside, and the scenery was magnificent, and you thought it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, not 3 o'clock in the
Right.
morning. And it was really hard to go back to sleep when you're surrounded by such beauty at 3 in the morning.
So at 3 in the morning, it's just like daylight then.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Wow.
and it really from about the 21st of May to the 21st of July, they have the midnight sun up there, and it's daylight all. There is no
Oh,
sunset.
fantastic. This type of itinerary is getting quite popular. When thinking back on it, Roy, who would you recommend it for?
I would recommend it for anyone who like magnificent
Right.
scenery. I would recommend it for anyone who likes to learn about history and some of the different cultures, and just anybody who likes to cruise and is looking for somewhere that you've never been before.
Wow. So in terms of daytime temperatures and that, what kind of temperatures were we looking at?
We were quite comfortable. A lot of the daytime temperatures were in the 15 to 17, 18 degrees
Right.
Celsius. Quite comfortable. North Cape was definitely the coldest of all the spots.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Wow. So I gather this cruise was a distinctive voyage for you.
Yes, it was.
Why don't you enlighten our viewers and listeners on just what a distinctive voyage is?
Well, I was hosting. So, first of all, Distinctive Voyages works with a number of cruise lines, pretty much Holland America, Cunard, Princess, and Op. And Azamara, of course, is one of the cruise lines that we work with. We have the host on board, we have a welcome reception, and we generally have an exclusive shore event. In this case, and it was great, we were in Stavanger and we got to learn a lot about the Viking history. And we got to an Iron Age farm. Of course, the Iron Age predates the Viking Age by a couple of hundred years. So it was absolutely fascinating. And then, as a host on board, I'm available to help people. I'll have a hospitality desk a few times
Okay.
during the event.
So circling back to Azamara, is there anything special that Azamara does that makes the trip extra special?
There are two signature events that they have. The first is the Azamazing evening, and the entire ship is invited, although the whole ship doesn't necessarily
Right.
go. One of the ports, everybody is taken off to an event. It might be a dinner. In our case, it was an evening performance of local music that was really quite fun. And then everybody's back, and away we go after that. And of course, the other thing that Azamara does, and I'm dressed for it today, is the White Night Party, where the theme is wear white. So here I am in my white for the White Night Party. Not everybody does it, but almost everybody does. There's a buffet dinner beforehand that the officers serve, and then they get the show going, and they have a couple of hours of dancing and really, really have a grand time at the White
A
Night
lot of
Party.
fun. A lot of fun. Yeah.
It is. It is indeed.
So when we think about Azamara, would you consider Azamara a luxury cruise line? Was this an actual luxury cruise for you?
Yes, it was. I would put Azamara in the luxury category, and the small ship, great attentive crew, great
Right.
food.
So Norway, any tips for packing?
Well, whenever you're going somewhere that has the potential of being cold, just bring some good layers. We did not need parkas or anything like that for this particular trip.
Oh, fantastic. So Roy, you've been on tons of cruises. Where does this stand in ranking for you?
I wouldn't say tons. This was our 25th
Hmm.
cruise, and by some standards, we're still novices.
Is this Azamara cruise one that's going to stand out in your memory?
Oh,
Mm.
absolutely it will. Absolutely it will.
So, what places in particular along the way? What was your favorite memory?
Haugesund, and that was our second last port. So such a beautiful town in Norway, and we had about an hour and a half drive inland, even though we were following a fjord all the way to a magnificent waterfall, and a lunch at a local lunch at a farm that was just wonderful. So those are the
Hmm.
keys. Um, we finished up in Copenhagen. We spent 3 nights in Copenhagen afterward, and I had to get out of Denmark. Those pastries were just too good.
So, any more nights in Copenhagen, they were going to be sending you home as cargo.
I think so.
So you did a post in Copenhagen, and if I understood correctly, you did a pre in England, Southampton as well, right?
Yeah, we did 5 nights in
Wow,
London, actually.
fantastic. So obviously, London's a do not miss for people as well. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, Roy, this is absolutely super information, especially for those folks that may be looking to visit some of these unique ports. Is there anything else you might like to add before we wrap up?
Well, I might whisper in your ear a little bit that on July 1st is my next hosting assignment with Distinctive Voyages, and we're going to be on Azamara Quest, the sister ship to the Pursuit, and we're starting in Reykjavik, doing an Iceland intensive with half a dozen ports in Iceland. And of course, again, the smaller ship will get places that bigger ships can't. And we hit the Faroe Islands and one of the Shetland Islands and Aberdeen before finishing up in Edinburgh in Scotland. And really, really looking forward to that.
Fantastic. So that's July 1st of 24?
That is correct, yeah.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. If folks wanted to find out more information about this cruise or another cruise with Azamara, what's the best way to get hold of you, Roy?
Well, one of the easiest ways would just be to email me at rsuthons@cruiseholidays.com, which is just scrolled across the bottom. It's perfect timing. Or you can reach me on my Winnipeg cell, 431-374-7619, or my Toronto cell, 416-523-4509.
Perfect. Perfect. So I'll leave those links in the description, Roy. And I'm looking forward to hearing all about that next upcoming cruise. We'll have to have you back. How does that sound?
That'll be my pleasure, as always.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, with that, Roy, I'm just going to wish you safe and happy travels on all your future adventures, cruises, and events. May the wind always be at your back, and I hope to see you on a Lido deck sometime soon.
Sounds like a
Take
plan.
care, Roy.
Bye-bye.
And that about wraps it up for today, folks. A very special thanks to my guest, Roy Suthons of Cruise Holidays Lawrence Park. If you'd like to reach Roy, I will leave his contact information in the description. If you'd like to reach us with a suggestion for a future interview or have a question, you can simply send a question to questions@realtravelexperts.com. Visit our website, realtravelexperts.com, or simply leave a comment. We always respond. And as always, folks, if you enjoy this content, a like, subscribe, and a ring of the bell is certainly appreciated and helps us to spread the word. So until next time, happy travels.